coming from the United States, and my skin was so tender. I got all these water blisters and stuff like that from the excess of heat.
And you step off the plane in Vietnam, and the first thing is, the impression is, well, there's two. It's the heat, because it's very hot, very humid. And the country had a smell all its own. You know, it just kind of stuck with you. It's like the first time you go downtown, and like the town of Vinh Long was next to our airfield where I eventually ended up. And they have an open marketplace. And the typical American, you walk in, and the first thing you want to do is basically throw up, because you can't, they have literally raw meat hanging out, and it's covered with flies, and it's very primitive society, and they have open sewers and whatnot, and it rocks you.
It's like sticking your head in a dirty garbage can at 115 degrees. That's what it was like.
My first impression was beautiful of this country. It was fantastic foliage, really pretty. Until the rain started and we were in the monsoon season, and then I realized it wasn't so nice in being in mud. And the other 6 months of the year, you're in dust. It's either one or the other.
And of course, as the plane gets closer, everybody's looking out the window at this mysterious dark land down below. And when you get off the plane, the first thing you notice was the oppressive heat and strange aromas, which were not from New Jersey or the United States. It was a totally different world. And the sounds and the sights, it's just amazing, the difference.
It was very hot and humid. I guess it was 100 degrees every day. Out at sea, it was still very, very hot and humid. I would say the South China Sea had the bluest water I've ever seen, and it was very picturesque, very beautiful place.
You could sit there in the jungle, and what we say break for snake was have something to eat at lunchtime, and sit there amidst these leaves. And then the leaves get up and leave. There are so many fascinating forms of nature there, and orchids that grow wild. And at night, you couldn't see your hand here, but because of the algae and the rest of the growth on the floor of the jungle, it was luminous.
The weather was completely a shock to me, because when I got off that plane, I believe it was like 110 that day. And I had just arrived from Fort Lewis, Washington. It was pretty cool that day when I left there. So the weather was shocking.
Vietnam has got kind of a brownish, orangish tinge to most of the dirt.
6 months a year it was wet, 6 months a year it was dry, so the mud went from mud to brown talcum powder, if I can use that analogy.
The monsoon season was just about starting, okay? And so it would rain. You could, by your clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it would rain until 6. And it would get steadily longer, 5 o'clock until 7, And so you just waited for the rain to come, and everybody stood out there in their bar of soap waiting for the rain. And it rained, and you took the best shower you could.